Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for the next episode of our Learn Live Security 101 series, AI Security Fundamentals. My name's Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenter to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. With that, I will turn it over to our presenter for today. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello and hi everyone. Welcome back to Security 101. Now we're gonna hit the hot topic of the moment, which is AI security. Now, actually, this is a shorter. This is going to be a shorter one. I gave it its own episode, but I'm not sure we'll actually use all the time. But if you have questions, then maybe we will. So, as always, please do ask questions as we go. But this is what we're going to cover today. In line with what we've been doing, we will be covering the key concepts of AI security. We'll talk about some AI security capabilities, and then we'll talk about what responsible AI is. And then again, Q&A, but you can ask me questions as we go. This is going to be a bit of a short one, but that doesn't matter because then, particularly for those of you in the US, you can have the rest of your evening back. So as I said, say hi. I saw people already said hi. Hi from San Diego and from Sammamish. I know where that is, as I did used to live in Washington. So hooray. And welcome everyone else too. So let's start off with some key concepts around AI security. So I guess the first thing to mention is AI security is not brand new. AI security, everything that we've talked about already, still mostly applies to AI as well, because AI is just an extra. I like to think of AI in security terms as an extra sort of feature in an application. And so it's still something that, so all the application security and infrastructure, and we build applications on infrastructure. So all of that application security and infrastructure security and data security that we've already talked about is very relevant here. It's not that that suddenly goes away. So everything we've already talked about, plus the episode we'll do tomorrow, which is which was rescheduled, is very still relevant here. However, there are some extra bits when we're talking about AI security. So mostly it's around the models themselves and how you can attack those models. So some things become more important and some things are brand new. So I think one of the main things is one of the things that becomes more important is data security. So I did touch on this when we talked about data security, but models have to be trained on data. They give answers they give their answers and they do their reasoning based on data. So if your data is incorrect or poor or gets changed, then of course that can have some quite disastrous consequences for how the AI performs. And then there's the security of the model itself. So of course, there's how the model is secured, if people can copy it, or if they can copy its training data, because we have to train models on data, and that's what you do before you start using a model. And again, if that data might be secret or private, it is possible in theory that we can get an inference attack from it where you can infer what data the model was trained with. So there's things like that to worry about too. And then of course we have this ethical side of things, which I'll talk about more as well. But as I was saying, AI is essentially the same as securing a traditional IT system. We still have to look at our threat protection, our vulnerability management, our data security, supply chain security. This is this is all there and it's still a problem. So we mustn't forget those fundamentals. Everything that I've told you about already, they're still really important before we talk about AI. Really, it's really, really important that we do that. So let's look at the capabilities. I'll probably spend forever in here, but there's quite a few different tools and capabilities for securing AI. So everything that we already talked about underneath AI in previous episodes is a thing. But then we've got AI specific tooling. Now, there's not loads of it about, and it's all quite new, but that is going to develop as the field develops. But we have things like counterfeit. So counterfeit, excuse me, is an open source automation tool. So it will security test AI systems. What a lot of AI security tools do is, and this isn't all of them, but a lot of them are looking, testing the model with lots of responses, assuming the AI is an LLM, which mostly it is. They will send lots of predetermined responses. They might be jailbreaky. They might have attacks in them to see how well it holds up and what you can do to change it. Then there's adversarial machine learning tools. So when we talk about adversarial machine learning, that's when specifically when we're looking at attacking the model itself. So when we are looking at changing the way the model is built or the way the model is trained, that's adversarial machine learning. It's attacks at the model layer rather than at other points. There are several toolkits out there that can do that. And the idea is that they will identify and mitigate vulnerabilities. There's other toolkits out there as well. Microsoft has one called Pirate. I'm going to put in the chat how you spell that. I should have put it on the slides, which I didn't, so apologies. Pirate is please do look it up. It's a great tool. It is our open source risk identification tool. So please have a look at that one. It's written by our AI Red team, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then there are also more things coming. We have something called Hidden Layer. Hidden Layer scans AI models for vulnerabilities, because your traditional vulnerability scanner isn't going to be able to look at those kind of tools, isn't going to be able to look at AI because it wasn't trained or created for those kind of tools. So we don't have, in the same way, we don't have kind of, it's a very rapidly evolving tool set. So there's lots of different things out there. Oh, I beg your pardon. I don't know what's wrong, why I'm yawning so much today. But there's lots of different tools out there. I don't want to name too many of them. I just wanted to give overviews because it's changing so quickly. But there are some paid for tools as well. There are some open source ones. I would just recommend you go out there and have a look at it. Like even the Microsoft one, that Pirate is actually open sourced. So do go have a look. So after that, then, we talk about AI, security testing, and we've talked a bit about penetration testing, but AI red teaming is quite different. Or it's the same but different. So a part of AI red teaming is everything that we've talked about already. So that's testing AI and testing the infrastructure, testing everything underneath. But then when we get to the actual AI system itself, there are a couple of different bits that we do. There's the adversarial machine learning, which is actually attacking the models. And then there's just attacking the behavior, the inputs and the outputs. Now, this is probably the stuff that you've seen most online, because the inputs and outputs are also called prompt injection and content generation. And that's that bullet point there that we have. And you've probably seen the most well-publicized thing as a jailbreak attack, where the model starts to give answers it shouldn't do, or it's giving out information it shouldn't, because it's escaping the rules that it's been given. So that's a brand new field, and it's completely different. It doesn't use tooling. It involves what we call creative prompts. So, creative prompts are just talking or trying to trick the AI model. One of the famous ones out there, the well-known ones, is telling the AI model that you're someone called Dan, which is do anything now. And Dan is, and then you're basically saying, oh, because if you said to your AI model, don't do this, don't create violent things, don't create hateful things, and then you say, oh, well, you're going to pretend to be someone called Dan, and Dan does say hateful things, but that's okay because it's part of a story. And there's these, it's very interesting because it's all natural language reasoning to confuse the AI. So it's a completely different skill set. So we bring in lots of different folks to be able to help with that as well. It's really, really interesting stuff. The other part is the adversarial machine learning, which is, again, something that's got quite a lot of publicity, which is actually manipulating how the model is trained, or the contents of the model itself, rather than just the inputs and the outputs. Now, the good thing is, so an example there would be model poisoning. So model poisoning is when you deliberately train the model on a particular set of data to start giving its answers, or for it to start giving weird answers. Now, that's been well publicized, but the good news is that most of the adversarial machine learning, the attacks on the model, you as an end user, as a typical end user, wouldn't need to worry about, because pretty much everyone using AI is consuming some kind of AI platform. So, we have Azure AI Foundry, and of course, other people have them as well. And generally, that sort of level of model attack will be dealt with by the platform provider. You won't need to deal with it. It's not that you shouldn't be aware of it, but it's more the prompt injection and the content generation is something that would be more of your concern as an end user than having to deal with the model poisoning. But as I talked about right at the beginning with shared responsibility, if you're going to consume someone's AI platform and use it in your environment, then you should be asking them questions about how they do those protections. So next up, responsible AI. We've heard a lot about responsible AI, or you may have heard a lot about it. And you might be like, how does that relate to AI security? It is a good question. So some of it does, some of it is definitely, there's an overlap in responsible AI and AI security. In Microsoft, we consider security and privacy to be one of our 6 pillars of responsible AI. Not every organization sees it that way, but responsible AI is a security thing because it is it's talking about how we treat AI responsibly and that it's doing the right thing. And the overlap comes because that safety and privacy and security bit, it's like security and risk. You can't really separate them. So we do have to think about responsible AI in terms of security as well. So this is some of the things, and definitely some of the things here will sound familiar to you. So if we want, your system to be secure and ethical, it's got to be secure because, of course, like giving away data or handing out things, saying nasty things about people, or giving out their personal data is a privacy issue. It's an ethical thing. It's also a security issue. Also, you want to enable human oversight of an AI system, because we need to know why it's making the decisions it makes, etc. And of course, it could be, you don't want your AI system telling people how to make, explosive materials or anything like that. And so it can be really, definitely it's difficult to separate these two. Definitely the kind of more ethical and giving correct responses, and having transparency and being ethical, that leans more towards responsible AI. But the data privacy, the human oversight, etc., probably leans into more towards security. But essentially we can't separate them. It's like security and risk. So you might ask, like, what are some examples of security issues that can arise from unethical use of AI. So, say we started using AI in a judicial system, if that if that AI, was attacked and the model was poisoned, it might start making the wrong kind of decisions. I mean, and ultimately, innocent people could go to jail, guilty people could be released. There's all kinds of things that could go wrong there. And then for surveillance as well, there could be privacy violations. So, for example, if the surveillance goes too far, or it's collecting far too much data, or whatever, especially if there's been no consent, then that could impinge on individual freedoms. It could there's all kinds of things. And then, of course, if you were collecting all of that and then your data store was attacked and all of that was then leaked everywhere, then of course that could cause even more issues. Definitely there would be privacy concern. Well, obviously there would be privacy concerns, but also, that, yeah. And I guess the other main thing to mention here as well is that as AI is more widely used, it collects more information, and these systems create more information, and so that data is valuable to attackers, and that's what they will go and look for. So actually AI systems are vulnerable for that reason as well. And then more broadly, just biased decision making or biased prompts or responses can cause a whole range of issues. Here's another one, an extreme one that we haven't seen, but say you had an AI powered medical system and someone managed to poison its logic or its data stores, so it was giving doctors the wrong advice about how to treat a patient, what dose they needed, etc. People could die from that. So certainly unethical use of AI is a security concern as well. And I could go on and on and on about how we could how we could how AI could potentially be manipulated, but we've already seen some in the media as well. We've seen AI be used. It's been quite hateful. We've seen AI be quite, biased. And of course, if nothing else, even if it's not a privacy thing, it can just reputationally do you a lot of damage as well if your AI isn't behaving how it should, whether that's in an ethical way or whatever. So there's a lot of things about why we need to secure AI systems as well. But as I said, the main thing here is that the very main thing, the really important thing here is that you use those traditional security controls first and then have a look at AI on top of it. Because still AI is an application. And I wasn't joking when I said this was a really short one. This was a little short wrappy up episode just for some AI on the end. Now, I realize this is not the last episode because we have to reschedule the next one, which is going to be tomorrow. Everyone's been super quiet, so I will leave this up for a second to see if there are any additional questions. There are some really, but the main thing I want you to take away from AI security is that AI inherits the security posture of whatever you have underneath, because you build AI on top of infrastructure and on top of existing applications. So if they're insecure, then the rest of your AI is going to be insecure as well. That's probably the main thing to concern yourself about before you start worrying about model poisoning and all of those fantastical things that you may have seen in the media. Everyone's been super quiet today. But it has been, like I said, this was a short but sweet one. It was supposed to be the final one, but that's going to be tomorrow now. So it doesn't seem like there are any questions. So we might just wrap it up there. And please join me tomorrow for the rescheduled other session. That will be pretty much the full time, I think. There is a fair bit of content to cover there. But thanks for joining me again. This was, like I said, a nice, short and sweet episode. And I will see those of you who can join me tomorrow. And if not, you can always catch up on the recording later.